Hello, my name is Ian Sarnick, and I live in Palm Harbor, Florida. I've been told that I'm very opinionated, so here's my opinion. I stop to get gas, and man, I feel the pain at the pump every time I do. I can't believe what we're paying for a gallon of gas, considering the U.S. has an abundance of oil in reserve. For an example, Next Energy News reported that in February of 2008, the USGS would release a report in 30 days giving an accurate assessment on the Bakken Oil Formation. Now that covers North Dakota and portions of South Dakota and Montana. Oil was first discovered in 1951. It is believed then, and is still believed by some, that anywhere from 175 to 500 billion barrels are recoverable. Now, according to the same report, 200 billion barrels at $90 a barrel would add an additional $18 trillion to the U.S. economy. Now, that's a lot of money, and imagine how far that could have gone toward keeping the U.S. out of debt. In 2010, the USGS released the report from February of '08. You know, they were late, but better late than never. But they now say there's only 32 billion barrels. So it's a far cry from the 175 to 500 billion barrels that we'd hoped for. But 32 billion barrels is still a lot of oil, especially considering we've also have our proven oil reserve. Now, in these proven oil reserves, we have 21 billion barrels. So that's 53 billion barrels of oil that we have. Why is this important? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. In addition to that, we also have, as of May 2011, we have 727 million barrels for our Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Now that's set aside for our military. It's Strategic Petroleum Reserve. It's designated for our military. Now that brings me to my next question. How much oil does the U.S. use a day? Well, I'll tell you. According to Answers.com, about 20 million barrels every day. So that works out to roughly 7 billion barrels in 2010. Now, why is that important? Well, the U.S. exports about 1.6 million barrels a day. So that's 9% of our total refining capacity of 17.6 million barrels, according to Paul Solomon of the PBS NewsHour. So if we stopped exporting and kept all of our oil, everything we refine, plus what we have in reserve, we don't need OPEC. Now, OPEC is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. And if you remember, back in the 70s, when OPEC put a stranglehold on us, we were paying over $3 a gallon. Cars were lined up for miles until we finally ran out of gas. So before this happens again, we need to release our reserves. By doing this, we can force OPEC into lowering the price of a barrel of oil. They'll have no choice. The U.S. is the largest oil consuming nation in the world. So if we stop buying, OPEC would have no choice but to lower a barrel of oil. They have to lower the price. Top 5 oil consuming countries as of 2006. USA, number 1, 21 million barrels per day. China, number 2, at 7 million barrels per day. Japan came in third at 5.4 million barrels, followed by India at 2.7, and finally Russia at 2.7 million barrels a day. Now look, we have enough oil to support our needs. Between what we are refining and what we have in reserves, we have enough to take care of our own needs. And yet I'm paying $3.45 a gallon. You tell me what's wrong here. I'm Ian Sarnick, and that's my opinion.